In the first course that is part of this series, you learn about penetration testing methodologies and standards. They also apply for web application testing. So let's cover the most popular here as a refresher. One of the most popular standards and methodologies is the Penetration Testing Execution Standard. You can access the details about the standard at the website that I'm showing in the screen. The Pen Test Execution Standard is divided into 7 main sections. They cover everything related to the penetration testing, so starting from the initial communication and even why you will do a pen test and all the pre-engagement interactions and scoping. So things on how to develop a statement of work or an SOW. They also cover, the rules of engagement. They go over how to, define a scope and why it's important within your penetration testing engagement. Then they actually go into the intelligence and gathering phase, and then threat modeling, and that's where you get a better understanding of systems and the organization that you're actually performing the pen test. Then you move into the vulnerability analysis, exploitation, and post-exploitation phases. Now, at the end of the engagement, you create a pen test report, which is actually one of the most important deliverables that you can actually do to your customer or whoever tasked you to perform the assessment. Now, NIST also published a guide on how to conduct security assessments. The document is the special publication 800-115, so 800-115. It is pretty similar to the methodology described in the pen testing execution standard, but in this case, they actually have 4 major phases. They basically actually cover the same as in the 7 phases of the pen test standard. Now, the NIST methodology starts with the planning, and then discovery, attack, and at the end, reporting. Notice that the planning phase has a direct arrow pointing to the reporting. And this is because the planning phase allows you to even discuss on how the penetration testing report will be structured and how it will be delivered. And even your client or the person that actually tasked you to do the penetration testing can actually have specific requirements or things that they want to include in that report. You can also see a feedback loop between the discovery phase and the attack phase. This is because depending on the things that you compromise or exploit during the penetration testing engagement, you may actually have to go back and gather more intelligence and information to carry out further attacks. Now, an organization that actually is amazing whenever it comes to web application security and security as a whole is the OWASP organization. And they also have a security testing guide that is extremely detailed. So if you're not familiar with OWASP, I highly recommend that you become familiar with them. OWASP stands for Open Web Application Security Project, and it's an international organization and an open community dedicated to enabling organizations to learn more about application security. All of the OWASP tools, the documents, white papers, forums, and even local chapters are actually free and open to anyone interested in improving application security. So one thing that I will advise you is to become familiar with this organization, but also see if in your region, and depending on where you're listening from, you may actually have an OWASP local chapter. So that allows you to, of course, interact with other security professionals and also to contribute to this collection of resources. Now, another methodology available in the industry is the open source security testing methodology manual. Now, it can be accessed at the link that I'm actually showing in the screen, and they also go into very similar guidance as the other resources that we just covered. At the end of the day, when it comes to application testing or web application security testing, you may be doing a general assessment of an infrastructure where you will encounter several applications and systems that you actually have to test. But you're also can be hired just to perform other tests, such as wireless infrastructure assessment or network infrastructure assessments, right? And many others. However, in many instances, you may also be hired just to test one application or a set of applications depending on the scope, right? So especially around a compliance, you may be tasked to only look at a specific area of the network where some specific applications may actually reside. This is where the scope comes into place. So having a good and adaptable process and methodology is key to the success of your engagement.